Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. I dive deeper into all of these sectors, topics, looking for potential investment opportunities, and share those opportunities with all of the members in the community that we are building. We have a Discord channel. We've got a coupon code that's still active, Mayday, Mayday, 50% off the first month if you want to try it, just the first month. And then we have a larger discount for the yearly membership if you're interested in signing up for that. So let's dive in here. Let's take a look and see what's going on today in the markets. Starting with the dollar, the DXY, we are lower on the DXY, and that's generally driven by, you guessed it, interest rates. So we've broken this to the downside, and the dollar looks to me like we could continue lower in the short term. Yields are generally the driver, so yields, as expected, are dropping. We had a pretty big selling pressure day today, or interest rates dropped, which means it's buying pressure in bonds, if that makes sense, guys, and hopefully that makes sense to all of you. So we were down in the two-year yield, 1.87%, a pretty big down day. The momentum is still down. It looked like it was going to try to bottom, and we got big selling, or I should say, buying pressure in bonds, because the yields go down with buying pressure in bonds. The 10-year also fell 1.16%, and we, again, are still in this downtrend after we've broken the trend line. And the 30-year was down 0.58, a little bit less in its severity or movement volatility size. And that is also in a downtrend after the breakout. But it could hold sideways here. We've got a good, we'll say the green army and the small red selling. This could track sideways or move slightly higher over time, the 30-year. TYX-TNX ratio, it is up today, 0.5%. Pretty big move from that ratio. So the 2-year fell quite a bit more than the 10-year. Now, looking at the dollar, looking at yields, and looking at this relationship going up, I would say gold would be higher if I knew nothing else. I would say for surely gold is going to go higher under these conditions. Bond prices up a little bit, 0.5%, and that makes sense because yields were down a little bit, and that's in an uptrend. So the yields are in a downtrend. The pricing of the bonds is in an uptrend. So they move opposite of each other. So that's been moving higher. The 2 and 10 it uninverted today. There it is. Could there be more inversion ahead of us? Hard to say. With those yields dropping, they do look a little bit weak, especially on the shorter end of the curve. So gold sold off $20 an ounce today. $20. Now, would I have guessed that looking at the leading indicators that I look at? I would have not guessed that. I would have guessed that we would have continued to move up based off of weaker dollar, weaker yields, and the uninversion of the yield curve. That is basically full alignment for the, just want to make sure I got that centered, for gold to go higher. So I know they don't want gold to go up uncontrollably. I don't know if today is one of those days they stepped in and said, we're gonna smash. A lot of the move occurred early, and then it based out. So we'll see what happens there. Silver also down today. We're down 1.2%. This still is a flag pattern, guys. It still looks good to go higher. Nothing's changed in my opinion. I know some of the equities sold off a little bit more today, but everything's good for a move higher in silver. There's nothing here stating that something looks bad or something's wrong or we've got a reversal. It still looks really good. Platinum down just slightly. Whenever you get these big moves in a short period of time, sometimes you get these little bloody noses is what we call it. It still looks good, and we'll see if we can break through that downtrend and launch from it. We'll see if we can do that. We've got palladium down a little bit more today, 3.5 or 3.6%, pulling on back. That started with this move here. That's a bearish engulfing that puts downside pressure. So that's a reversal candlestick where we had a large amount of sellers. We drifted a little bit lower, and now we've got a little bit more selling pressure. So we could drift lower again in the short term with this downside momentum that's starting to build. GDX down 3%, GDXJ down 3%, and SILJ down 3%. So we had a lot of selling pressure across the board in the ETF miners. There's your support there, and that could just be a retest here. So don't get too worried. When you blast through these things, generally there's a little bit of selling pressure or weight that once you get above a certain amount, you could get a little bit of selling pressure and do a return move and a retest, or go sideways in that general area or zone. I think that's what's occurring. I think that's what's occurring at this time. SILJ is also doing that. There's the resistance. XEU to gold. So we had gold and silver mining companies. Remember, we were at this resistance level 2. We were about to get a breakout, and we got a little bit of selling pressure there right at that resistance line. Everything is good long term. Everything is good long term. We're just getting a little bit of selling pressure right underneath resistance. And it's just got to be patient for this to work its way and play it on out. All of the drivers are still driving for gold and silver and gold to continue higher. I should say gold and silver and the gold miners to go higher. That's the decline in interest rates, the uninversion of the yield curve. All those things are tailwinds behind it. Crude oil up 1.36% today. We're right above support. That support line that I drew in is the bottom of all these guys here. And we're getting a little bit of a bounce there. Now, the big question is, what does this bounce look like? Is it going to be a week kind of coming up where we roll back over again and try to retest that support zone? Or do we punch on through the resistance that's above us? Don't know. We'll have to find out. And again, this is all about the perception of future demand and supply of oil that the market is pricing in here. TTF gas up a little bit. Still looks good to go higher. That momentum is still there. It looks good. Natural gas in America busting through resistance. Look at that. Right through samurai sword through hot butter, or hot samurai sword through butter. That's what I would say. That looks good. That's a big 5.85% up day in natural gas. Looking pretty good. Yeah, natural gas looks good. Very, very strong. XOP, yeah, you know me, up 2.5%. We are below all of this. Now, are we going to punch through this? Is this going to be a false breakdown? I don't know. I really don't know in the short term here. There's cross currents with oil. Natural gas looks good. But in oil, there's cross currents. There's the fundamentals that we are looking at today, which look good and bullish. And then there is the potential of a slowdown in the market that people, I think, are grappling with out in the future. And that's where I think this indecision here of what's going on and where we're going to go next is a tough decision. So let's continue to see what the data comes over the next couple weeks and see how this trades. We've got OIH also up a little bit today, 2.6%, but we've got this massive kind of selling pressure move, and there's still sellers in this thing. You can see these big 3 candlesticks, boom, 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 boom. It's like these impulse moves lower, and then we're struggling to work our way back up. Newcastle coal futures up 0.9%. Looks good to continue higher. If TTF gas and natural gas in America continue to go up, I do think coal could continue to go up. We've got Sprott Uranium Trust down slightly, down about 0.5%. It's still holding on. It's not reversal candlesticks, not huge selling pressure. It's holding on. It still looks good, and we could advance further. Futures pricing continues to move up. That looks really good for a move higher in uranium futures. That's also going to be good for Sprott Uranium Trust. URA down slightly, but not a ton of selling pressure. It looks good. It's strong. It is strong. It's not a ton of selling pressure, so it looks good. URNM also just small little selling pressure, and URNJ Small little selling pressure. So a little bit of a consolidation going on right now. Still looks good for the setup to continue higher if the buyers want to step in here and push it. We've got copper down 1.14, but the momentum's still to the upside, especially with these big monster green candlesticks. Sometimes you get these small red profit-taking days next to them. I call them the bloody noses, and it's usually a continuation pattern higher. COPX down just slightly. Everything looks okay except for these big gaps that we've got all over the place there. Iron ore massively higher, 11.3%. That's why all the diversified miners and stuff broke out. This is probably a downtrend line break too. Yeah, it's a downtrend line break. It looks really good for iron ore. I think we're going higher. This could also be a Livermore accumulation cylinder in iron ore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a big move up. So yeah, there could be a huge move in steel, iron ore, and we've got companies that can play this on the website. If you guys are interested in playing these, they're big dividend payers too. Aluminum, we're still beneath that resistance area. We're close to breaking out, but we're still underneath it. If I were to do this on log, just to expand it, it kind of looks like a shoulder that's developed here. So we'll see if that's a bottoming pattern that starts to rip to the upside. We are also playing aluminum on the website with some companies that have a lot of upside leverage. Nickel, moving on up, but not convincing move here. So the momentum is still holding us down or sideways as we try to base out. I do see a little bit of a potential double bottom going on as we round this out here, where we could be doing we usually get a lead-in pattern that slows down, and then you put a double bottom here. So this could come on up, break out, and do some sort of consolidation above it. So you could, if you're aggressive, you could start cost averaging in at this location down here if you're really aggressive, trying to play that double bottom potential. Moo up 1.2%. Like I said, this is a falling wedge back to support. I would have been a buyer in this zone there and then been riding it higher. And now we're getting some follow through. So it looks good. It looks like a bottom, short-term bottom. Emerging markets, just moving sideways, not much selling pressure. Looks good. Looks good. There we are breaking out of this little consolidation there. So I think we're going to go higher. Weaker dollar, weaker yields are going to be a tailwind behind all this. And keep that in mind. Weaker dollar, weaker yields, weaker dollar. A lot of that has a big impact on all this. KRE is still squeezing up in that awesome triangle I put in here, kind of like a 3-hump consolidation and potentially a breakout. Weaker dollar, weaker yields. And again, TAN moving on up 2.65%. Weaker dollar, weaker yields. Lithium up 3.4%. Weaker dollar, weaker yields. Bouncing off the support zone of 36, and that's where I thought we could potentially get a bottom. We are playing. I do have some lithium plays. If you guys want to look at it, we can talk about it this weekend, tomorrow, at the question and answer session about potential investment opportunities in lithium and even rare earth metals. Looks like that's a bottom, and we can talk about those. I've already talked about them. I did it over here. Actually, I did it here. I did it on Wednesday. I told you guys some of the lithium plays that I like. Baltic Dry Index working its way on up, looking pretty strong, feeling strong. Look at that go. It's ready to rip. RIP rip. That looks good. Probably do well for shipping companies. XHB also moving higher. I saw the home builders pretty strong up here. Not much selling pressure. Not much selling pressure. So that looks constructive to move higher to me. It's still game on for home builders. But I guess, we're according to some of these guys, we're in this huge crash, and home builders, I guess, are just crashing higher day after day with really good chart patterns. Russell 2000 up 0.67%. That looks good to go higher. Looks good to go higher. We are above support. It's broken out. We've been tracking sideways, so I would say higher, higher, higher. We've got S&P 500. Not much selling pressure. I don't know if this is the plunge protection team muting all the sellers or anything like that, but it looks good to go higher. It looks good to go higher. I don't see the selling pressure there. Same with the NASDAQ. Not much selling pressure. Still looks good to go potentially higher in the short term. even with these crazy looking charts that squeezed up, broke down, came back for the retest, and somehow we are still way up there. I am amazed that this is still up there. And no, I would not be going long in NASDAQ myself. SMCI up 4.3%, bouncing off that big selling pressure day. It still looks kind of crappy. It's big move lower, and we are at that support-ish area that's coming up here. We've got NVIDIA down 2%, still underneath that resistance line. We'll see if we can break through it. I'm wondering if CEO's still offloading shares still. I know he's been running for the exits as fast as possible. That allows him to sell as much as he can. BTC is up 1.65, still looks good to go higher, not much selling pressure. A little bit of candles or wicks at the top. Ethereum also looking good to go higher. We've broken the downtrend. We're in this little pattern going on here. It looks good to go higher if it wants to continue on up. And that's what I've got for today, guys. So give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like to. We have a question and answer session tomorrow, Saturday, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you have any questions, show up. If you can't go there, go to the website, use the contact form, and send me the question beforehand, and I can share it with everyone. And obviously, all those are recorded and posted on the website, so you can view them at any time. You can see all the previous ones as well, going back a few years. But that's what I've got for today, guys. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.